Welcome to Tales from the Flipside. This is your roundtable. Let's go around and introduce everyone. Let's go right above me. What's up, Steve?
All right. Steve, my bargain comics. Happy to be here. Pass it over to my friend, Mr. Longshort.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Mr. Longshort here. Happy to be here tonight. Excited to talk about some comic books. Jessup, what you got, buddy?
Hey, what's up? I'm Jessup, Half Price Crook. Rich.
Hey, what's going on? Dollar bill.
What's up, everybody? Tony from Blue Game Artifacts. Happy to be here. Happy to be part of the crew. Aaron, what do you got for us tonight?
Let's see. You can catch me on Comic Book Food Chain, and then I have a couple books for y'all tonight for Deal or Flipside.
Excellent.
Let me get this ready.
Big money, no whammies.
All right, so let me throw a curveball at you for the first book on Deal or Flipside.
Oh, shit.
So I want to give a big shout out to Robert. It blew his mind with our game that he spent a few hours thinking of on the Hulk 1-81 and Ultimate Fallout 4 1-25. So it kind of threw him off, and he's like, man, I spent like 3 hours thinking of like what I would do in that situation. And then even just like also the Department of Truth and Something Is Killing the Children. So I guess this game is catching on or something. So he threw out this book for me, the Fantastic Four #5, the Doom Creepy World, the 36 UK version. So it's still the first appearance of Dr. Doom. And let me get you some numbers real quick. This sold for approximately $1,071.82. It's the only one on the GPA census. There's a total of 3 graded, 1 out of 4.5, 1 out of 4.0, and a signature series 4.0. And then we also have Tales of Suspense 52, which is the first appearance of Black Widow. The 90-day average is 816. The last one sold for 950. There's a total of 1,518 graded and 120 graded out of 4.0.
I'll start.
Take it away, Steve.
Okay, so I'm going to do this real quick. Fantastic Four, 5, the Creepy World's number 36. And anyone who follows me knows I love niches, whether it's DCU variants or promo comics. I haven't gone down the well that our friend Robert has of the foreign comics, but I think they're cool. And maybe one day I'll go down that rabbit hole. And I bet this one's a lot harder to find than the Tales of Suspense number 52. I know I'm kind of early compared to a lot of other dealers into buying collections, but I can tell you, Tales of Suspense and these Marvel Silver Age books, they're not that uncommon. I feel like there's a lot of them out there, especially in a 4.0. I don't think that's like that, like shocking. So just for the uniqueness factor, I like the UK book. That's my final answer.
Good stuff, Steve. So this is an interesting one. I really, really, really love Black Widow. One of my favorite Marvel characters. I thought she was really, really well represented in the MCU. Frankly, for me, I actually like Amazing Spider-Man 86 better than this book, but regardless, she's a great character. Now, that said, if I'm wearing my spec hat, right, Black Widow, unfortunately, is behind us on the big screen by every major account. And I think Doctor Doom is very much in front of us. Hard to imagine that Doctor Doom doesn't play a major role in the MCU and potentially becomes one of the greatest villains ever to be seen on the big screen. So, considering all that, it's the Fantastic Four #5, even in the UK version, that seems to be the buy here. As much as I love Black Widow, if I'm looking forward, I've got to be buying that book.
I'm getting a Fantastic Four 5 all day. But, I mean, I think you guys know, he's my favorite villain. It would look real nice next to my Fantastic Four #5 also. Nothing against Black Widow, and I'm taking spec out of it because it's personal. It's just, I collect Doom books. I've got a short box full of Doom books. So that's a no-brainer for me. But I did pick up recently a first Black Widow solo book, an Astonishing Tales, was it? Or Amazing Adventures, I'm sorry. But yeah, final answer, Fantastic Four 5 all day. UK version or not. Actually, I kind of like it. I don't know why. Why does it say Creepy Worlds? Did they rename everything different?
Yeah, so that's the title that you would find it. Like, so for me to find it on the census, I actually had to type in Creepy Worlds number 36 to actually find it on the CGC census.
So the fanboy in me is obviously on TOS 52. The investor in me is on the FF5 Creepy World, especially with all this Wakanda stuff happening soon, and Atlantis possibly, Fantastic Four. There's just so many opportunities for Doom to get in the MCU. But Ben made a good point, and I have a counter to that because, in the sense that, Scarlett Johansson's gone, Yelena's getting the mantle, but the fact is that the moniker is still there, Black Widow. So what I've seen in at least the last 3-4 years, at least the last 3 years, when there is a new character that takes the mantle of the same, takes the moniker and takes off, it really doesn't hurt the first the original character. I could see I could see TOS 52 kind of simmering, possibly drop, because that would be common sense. But I think Catherine Pugh is so wonderful, and even though her first appearance is in Humans 5, but me and Ben believe the first full is in Black Widow 1, and that's our opinion. But the Black Widow moniker is in TOS 52, and I believe as Catherine Pugh goes on and Black Widow Yelena goes on, this book's going to continue climbing and could see some bumps along with those other modern books. So I'll take TOS 52.
All right. I'll make this quick, as quick as I can. First, I think both of these books are kind of beyond what's going on in the movies. Whether there's no appearance for Doctor Doom or Black Widow in the next 10 years, I think these books are going to still rise, whether they're the normal version or a foreign edition. Rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. But I do not own a Fantastic Four 5. I want to desperately. I've been looking at how to leapfrog into one. So I'm going to go with the Fantastic Four 5, the Creepy Worlds 36 all day. Whether he's I know obviously it's inevitable that he's going to be on screen and it's going to be mind blowing. But even if he wasn't, that would be mine all day. I'm right there with you, Crook. In the a friend of mine, Adam from Strange Tales to Collect, we're both in the Simple Man's Comics Patreons. We have a Discord. I think every couple months we're always sending each other links on that book. We both want to get into it. I've even thought of trying to go halvesies with him on it. But anyways, Doctor Doom.
All right. I want to give another shout out to Robert for providing this Fantastic Four number 5, Creepy Worlds number 36. I thought it was a really interesting pick. I wasn't sure which book to compare with it, to be completely honest. So that being said, out of these two books, I would probably have to pick with the Fantastic Four number 5. I don't own the first appearance of Doctor Doom, and this seems like an easier way for me to get in. But at the same time, probably not, since there's only 3 graded, right? Who knows when we'll see another one on eBay or just in the market in general. Let's move on to the next set of books. So I have to thank Steve for this, because he's like, have you ever thought about comparing a CBCS book and a CGC book? I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me pick out 2 books. So I picked an Amazing Spider-Man's number 300 at a 6.5, and then also a True Red, White, and Black number 1, a CBCS 9.8. So some numbers real quick. For Amazing Spider-Man 300, there's a total of 24,703 graded, 456 at a 6.5, 1,089 at a 9.8. For the 6.5 grade, one sold for $510 in March. The 90-day average is 482, and for a 12-month average, it's 327.
All right, so ASM 300 is one of the most iconic covers of all time. Probably the most homage cover of all time. I think most of us could agree on. I got to be clear. Unlike most, I don't put a lot of valuation difference between CGC and CBCS. I know most people just go to CGC, but if I'm buying books, I'm happy to take the discount from CBCS. I really, really love Isaiah Bradley. And I got to be honest, after episode 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, the way that Carl Lumbly portrayed him, I'm excited about what they can do with this character. I think he's super important within sort of the Marvel mythos, and I think given how they laid out the MCU, they can do a lot really, really, really cool things with this character. I love this book. So for me, and I own both of them, I would be buying at this point Truth, Red, White, and Black, 9.8 CBCS. Final answer.
I'll go next and probably give a surprising answer. So first of all, let me say, I'm a DC guy. I'll never claim to be a Marvel expert. I'm reading a lot more Marvel these days than DC, but still in my heart, in all of it, the 12-year-old heart that all of us have when a lot of us discovered, comics or reading them. So I don't worship at the altar of ASM 300 like a lot of people do. In fact, it came out after I stopped collecting comics as a kid. I remember Secret Wars 8. I remember ASM 252, but 300 was definitely past when I stopped collecting. So yeah, I don't worship at that altar. I understand the investment. I understand the attraction. Possibly it could be a better investment, but there's so many, and this is such a low grade. It's hard for me to pick it. The Truth, Red, White, and Black. Ben was very early onto this, and kudos to him. I think they could, depending on audience response, do some type of prequel series with him and fleshing out, his story. That there's certainly a lot more to be told there. Would love to see that. We're seeing how the market's reacting to just seeing him in the present day MCU. Because of the low grade for the ASM, and because I that's just not the altar I worship at, and we have a 9.8 here, I'm gonna pick the Truth, Red, White, and Black number 1.
All right, I'll jump in next. Thank you, Steve. I'm gonna. This wasn't really planned, but I'm kind of a grading snob. I shouldn't be. On many books, I should be willing to settle for lower grades. But kind of like Mel V, I really want, if I'm going to spend a lot of money on it, I'd like it to be a higher grade. Obviously, with the Amazing Spider-Man 300, a 9.8 is not the only valuable book for that book. But still, a 6.5, I don't think I would ever really chase a 6.5. And granted, that may double in the next couple of years, just as all of them do. But I don't mind CBCS. It's not my first choice. I don't think it's. I don't see the big difference between them though. But especially at this price, obviously we're speaking as this book is skyrocketing. I mean, I just reached over. I bought one myself. This was purchased 2 weeks ago. I wasn't sure if the seller was going to cancel my order as they were kind of rising at the moment. And actually, it's surpassed the number that's on the screen right now. I think the last one sold was more around 700. But yeah, I think there's a lot of stories you could tell there. I think it would be fun to do like a Band of Brothers style Disney Plus show with with Isaiah Bradley. So I'm gonna go with the Truth book. I sense a trend.
Yeah, I'm going with the Truth, and I'm by no means a grade snob, but with modern books, and I know it's it's not a modern, but it's still considered modern. I'm not buying a 6.5 of that book, even for the flip. I mean, if you don't have enough time to, I guess, maximize your profit if you're looking for profit and that's your end goal with the CBCS, to crack that and then resubmit it to CGC, because you can probably make another $300 to $400 with it in the times we live in now. My guess is I think they have quality there. I think they grade just as hard, if not harder. So I would have the utmost confidence in cracking that book and resubmitting it to CGC to make another $300, $400, and who knows where that book's going to eventually land if they do use him in Falcon Winter Soldier. I don't think that we've seen the last of him. It's like a gut feeling. I can't imagine with his performance that what do he have? Maybe 2 minutes of screen time in the second episode. And I'm like, I want to see more. Like, I hope they use him again. But I think
an actor, don't you think, Jessup? I mean, he's
absolutely
a big actor. Like in the performance, I hope I'm not overstating it. It was just moving. I mean, I thought it was amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no way you cast that guy to give him 2 minutes of screen time. I don't see why that would, unless you're only using him to introduce his boy. So I don't know if they're thinking that far ahead. And then sometimes I think, wow, they definitely think very far ahead when they do these movies.
No. My gut instinct is this. You look that they're carrying on the Iron Man legacy in, the Riri show and the Armor War show. I believe they're going to carry on the Cap legacy as well. It's too big. It's too important. Right. So I think he'll be tied to that. I think, and I'm just guessing, but it just seems like it's too important not to follow through on a story like that. In my opinion.
Somebody told me, and don't quote me on this, but because I heard it, I didn't notice it when I watched Doctor Strange. But somebody said in Doctor Strange, that in the library, that there was a book missing, and that it was the Darkhold. And then it came up in WandaVision. It's like, so you think like that far back they knew that they were going to do WandaVision, and that the Darkhold was going to be missing? That blew my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's like the retcons of all retcons. It's like, because how old is Doctor Strange? It's at least 5 or 6 years old, right? I mean, 5 or 6 years ago, they knew they were going to do WandaVision, and they knew that they wanted to have that book missing. So, or it played out in a story that I don't know. Kudos to them. That to me, that's like, and also like whoever picked up on that, because kudos to that person. That's also truly amazing that you paid that close of attention, unless it was like in somebody's Easter egg video that somebody caught that.
I think it was on our channel. I think it was Laura's daughter on their reveal for.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Hey,
shout out to Bird City, right?
I have a really quick question, and thank you, Aaron, for posting something or having an option between CGC and CBCS. Something came up actually in the chat just this last week about CBCS, and I wanted to just really quick. For a modern book that comes out, if you're looking to sell, if you're looking to flip something quickly, how many of you would send to CBCS instead of CGC just for that quick turnaround time, just to possibly be one of the first on the market? Would that be worth it to you?
Tony, it's a tough question. I would say right now the market is still giving a big premium to CGC. Now I want to be clear. I'm a buyer all day long of CBCS graded books. If you're looking to maximize on a flip, you're better off paying up for the quicker turnaround in CGC, I think, at the moment, and going to CBCS. Now, does that change over time? We'll see. But based on what I'm seeing, it looks like CG is still the way to go if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck.
Right.
They seem to be king, and this argument's been on Facebook and almost every discussion with everybody I'm friends with when we sit down and talk about graded books. But the Dennis Barger's a huge fan of CBCS. Now that the Action Comics, the 10100, it holds currently GPA, high GPA. He sold it for $2,000. Calvin, I don't know his last name. Calvin, yeah. So that book sold for $2,000. The previous sale was a CGC, and it sold for $250. Now, it also was riding the coattails of the news or the speculation that Calvin's going to be in the next movie. However, that it blew it out by $1,300 or $1,700, or that was huge. However, it was the only one on the market, also. So there are some outliers, but I think if the book is right, I don't think it matters. Like, honestly, I don't think it matters. Or and people are under the impression like, oh, well, it's a CBCS book, I'll list it lower. Like,
if I have the choice between either one and the CBCS is lower, I'll buy it every single time if it's for my PC, without question, every single time.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
So real quick, so speaking of like numbers and stuff like that, for the Truth Red, White, and Black, there was a total of 5 graded on the CBCS census, 4 out of 9.8 and 1 out of 9.4. For the CGC census, there's 154 graded, 76 out of 9.8. The last sale for a CGC was $900.
Yeah.
So
I'd say the last one I saw was $750. So
900. Holy shit.
Yeah.
No
so but the interesting part, the same day that CBCS book sold, 2 CGCs had sold. One was for $495 and the other was for $500. The same day.
Okay.
What did CBCS go for, Aaron? Sorry.
$450.
So it wasn't that far. $50.
Yeah. It was really not that far apart.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we're talking about the same day. So.
Right.
I just say it's hard to catch lightning in a bottle, and that's why my goal is not to be first to market. I think that's a hard goal to chase. I mean, I think if I really wanted to do that, I just pay the walkthrough fee at CGC because I'm a CGC homer as far as selling, and like Ben, I'll buy CBCS, but as far as selling, if you don't have a hot book, it's hard enough to move it if it's not hot, and to have a non-CGC graded, that makes it all the much harder. But I understand we're talking about a hot book, so I think what I do is do walkthrough, but I'm not really interested in being in that game.
Yeah, that would be a tough game, and it would only come up in certain circumstances. Maybe like ENIAC #1. I mean, the first view of that book went really high, and who knows if it's going to stay there. But anyways.
All right, let's move on to our next subject.
All right, so listen, a few disclaimers before we get going into the subject here, because I know it is very much a love-hate relationship with most people, with the emphasis on the hate. The books that we put together in this slideshow are by no means a recommended buy list. I want to be very, very, very clear about that. What we're doing with this list is looking at some retailer exclusives that were sold last month that we found to be interesting. Love them or hate them, retailer exclusives are a part of the modern market. To be perfectly honest, they are not a great area to speculate on, in my opinion, just given the high buy-in. but it's hard to argue that some of the art and the covers on these books aren't simply stunning. You know, in full disclosure, I'll buy one or two of these every month or so, but it's really because I love what either the artist or the character, and not because I think I'm necessarily going to get a great flip on them. So the books we're seeing here, like I said, are really just books that we found interesting, but by no means, please do not go out and rush and buy these books. If you happen to like them, so be it. Most of them are sold out. It's just a collection of books that were sold last month that we thought might be noteworthy to touch on. I don't know if anybody else has any comments around that before we get started. And
well, I think just to be clear, we're clearly not promoting any books, right?
No, not at all. And I got to be honest. So we'll talk about some of the books here. There's some best practices for retailer exclusives, and some of the books on these lists don't follow them, right? I really frown upon retailers who won't disclose how many books they're printing. If they're asking you to put up $40 or $50 for a set and they don't tell you how many they printed, I don't think that's acceptable. But that's the game. So if you're going to buy these books, go into it eyes wide open, but be very careful on the speculation aspect of them, because oftentimes, more than often, it doesn't play out as you might expect.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, you want to go to the first one?
Yep.
Okay, so the first book on the list, and frankly, the book that that really sparked the idea, is Silk #1 by Ji-Hung Lee. He is one of my very favorite artists. He's done one of my very favorite modern covers. This book, in my opinion, is just breathtakingly stunning. The way that the light bounces off the webs, it's really quite brilliant. By all accounts, this book was limited to 1,000 in the Virgin that we're seeing here, and just a book that really caught my eye. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on it, but just one that was simply stunning to me.
I just want to say real quick, I think it does really play off very well with the 1 in 100 that Ji-Hung Lee did for the series. So if you're going to get the 1 in 100, I think this would pair up very nicely with that.
Okay, on to the next one. Department of Truth, one of the certainly one of the hottest independent books out on the market right now. This is another artist that I frankly am very drawn to. Gerard Perel has done some simply breathtaking covers. One of my favorite covers from 2020 was a Black Widow 1 in 25 that he did. Flew completely under the radar, but absolutely stunning. He did this cover. The colors pop on this. This book is, it looks like it's sort of a nod to 9/11, as we can see in the background, but a cover that really caught my eye that I thought was really quite beautiful.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one. I do love this kind of stylistic, almost like Dave Aha type art, or the retro. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, and when I hadn't seen it either, I had missed it. I think I might have considered it. I'm not sure who Izzy's Comics is, to be honest with you. They're the group that put it out. I'm not familiar with that particular store. Yeah, just a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I'll say this about the Department of Truth, I guess mainly retailer variants, that there are so many of them, and I am seeing a lot of repetition of, the woman in the red dress and the star-faced man. I feel like, and this is nothing against Izzy's or in particular, because they're like I just said, there's a lot of covers that use these two obvious, compelling characters from Department of Truth, but it's getting to be a bit overwhelming, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit of one of those like French posters, like from the early 1900s or late 1800s.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean that's the problem with retailer variants. Your pockets can get emptied pretty quick if because, like I said, there's just so many Department of Truth ones.
Yeah, I by no means chase these because you will empty your pockets. For me, this was a more of an artist play. But we'll find as we get onto this list, this is not the last Department of Truth book we're going to see. So.
Hell no. Okay.
All right.
Department of Truth number 7. This is another one. This is a beta variant. I'm not familiar with this group. Mighty Mel V suggested this one from Beta's Thingamajiggets. Like I said, I'm not familiar. I have no idea. They did not disclose what the print one is. This I don't care for that. Given the size of the store, it's probably relatively small. But I really think a best practice in this area is for retailers to tell their customers what they're buying into. I think that's super important. What Mel wanted to point out in this book is, frankly, one of his friends was actually quite disturbed by it. You know, if you look below the woman in red, you know, there's a plane flying into the Twin Towers, and one of Mel's friends had a very personal experience with that tragedy, and this sort of elicited a fairly strong response. So I wouldn't necessarily rush out to buy the book based on that by any means, but something that he felt was we should put on the list. Well, here we go again. Department of Truth number 9. So this is a little ways out. This is a Banksy homage, which was quite interesting. You know, what we're seeing with store variants are, you know, retailers are gravitating towards the hot books naturally, right? The books that are going to attract the widest audience, which is part of what dilutes them, to be perfectly honest. That said, I believe, Aaron, this was a book that you had spotted. I think it's pretty clever. You know, I like the fact that it's limited. It seemed to move quite quickly. But, you know, as I think Steve aptly pointed out, that, you know, this book is, you know, sort of treading on the same themes that we've seen before for Department of Truth.
I wish I had caught this book like when it was still available. I have never bought from Collector's Choice Comics before, but yeah, I thought it was a really neat like play on like street art.
It's a cool book. I mean, I like it. I'm not sure I necessarily would have paid the price for it, but it's certainly eye catching for sure.
Banksy really that sloppy with his stencil work with the overspray, or was it? It's a little, kind of a joke, but I mean, I know a lot of graffiti artists and a lot of people that stencil, and normally they're not that. I mean, graffiti artists are very, even with a stencil, like you can get that spray to come out. I'm sure it was part of the, you know, the Banksy homage thing, but I love that cover. I probably would have. I wouldn't have. I promised myself I wouldn't buy any more stories. But I do love them. I just love them from afar. Or if I really feel I'm going to need them, I wait, because that seems to be the best rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's a good point from Jessup right there, right? Particularly if you miss one of these, do not, by any means, do not rush out and buy them at the inflated eBay prices. They'll typically come in, or what you'll see is that the retailers will have held some back and they'll put some back out. So be patient with these. There's almost, I can't think of really any instance where you have to rush and sort of pay a premium for this sort of stuff if you feel you have to have it. And listen, the good ones are really good, right? Let's be honest. The good ones are really good, but but not something I think anybody should ever feel the need to chase. Be patient. And frankly, that can be sort of spread across spec in general, right? If you're buying comics, like if something just let it breathe a little bit, you'll get a shot at a better price, most likely.
Don't get that FOMO.
All right, what do we got next? All right, so this is Beta Ray Bill number 1 by Daniel Warren Johnson. This is done by the guys at the Hall of Comics in Southborough, Massachusetts. They limited it to 600. This hasn't sold out. You know, this is an homage. There's something eye-catching about this. Daniel Warren Johnson seems to be one of those artists all the writers love to work with, a guy that's up and coming. Just one that caught my eye that I thought was pretty neat. There's a trade dress version of this, I believe, at around an 800 print run that looks a little bit more faithful to the original Thor issue that it was taken from. But this sketch version, I thought looked pretty cool, so just dropped it on this list.
Yeah, it might be interesting to know what the. I think across the board what the price was or what the price is for something, because for like I mean, actually, we saw even though convention variants are a bit different. We saw a convention variant recently that was on sale for $5, and in our group, that's probably pretty unlikely for this. But I know prices vary widely.
I would say this. I would say this, Steve. I mean, usually the way that these retailers do this, they have a virgin in a trade dress. And in order to get the virgin, which is almost always more limited in the trade dress, you have to buy them both generally. Right. And that price point I have seen, most of us have seen somewhere between $40 and $50, let's say.
Yes.
Typically. So for call it $50, you get 2 comics. That's a pretty stiff buy-in, frankly. You couldn't chase all the books here for that and really sort of sleep well, I don't think, but that's usually the setup for a lot of these books.
I think with a lot of these, you just have to, if you're going to buy what you like. Don't buy it as an investment. If it doesn't go anywhere, like a lot of these, or maybe they're hot out of the gate and then they cool down. I think some of us believe in the long term, just like we're seeing 20 years after some of the like graham crackers, the Masters of the Universe gold foil, that's, suddenly taken off because of the Invincible preview. But while supply is dwindling out there and demand is building over the years, you have to live with it. So, I think a good advice to follow would be to buy what you like. Because if you're buying it for other reasons, you could be, and you don't like it, you could be not liking it for a long time and then kicking yourself about what you paid for it.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice on these. I mean, the number of store exclusives that have really paid off from a spec standpoint are relatively small. Just like the regular comics to be honest, but given the buy-in here, you're out a lot more. So be very, very careful speccing on these. If you don't love it, don't buy it. I think you'll probably.
I could see with a book like this, where it there are homage collectors where they might have 12 different covers of this Beta Ray Bill. I'm guilty of that too. I always chase the Purple Rain homage books. So like Frankie's has done a couple of those. I do feel like I need to get them to complete my collection. In that respect, I don't chase them for spec value or to sell necessarily. And I'm not we talked about this right before we came on, but I'm not I wouldn't call myself a huge retailer variant fan, but I would say like you, about once a month or twice a month, there's something that catches my eye. I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily. They have kind of a bad rap. And I think as speculators too, sometimes you always hear speculators worry about or sellers worry about, or what's going to hurt the market. Oh, there's too many retailer variants. There's going to be a flood of the ratio variants for this book or that book, Silk #1 or something. Sometimes I remind myself to step back a little bit. We do need to support our retailers. These retailer variants are a very important source of income for a lot of these retailers. Not that we should go out and buy every one that they put out, but maybe we shouldn't, insult their income at the same time. They have a right
absolutely not. Yeah, I want to actually, give kudos to the Hall of Comics and all the other retailers because, I know I've bought bulk copies of comics before, and I don't think until you've sat in their shoes, sitting there with 600 virgins and 3,000 trade dress, how tough it is to actually sell those.
Right.
Because there are only a limited number of Thor 337 collectors out there, and then you might have your Simonson fans and your Beta Ray Bill fans. It is tough to take on that much inventory and then turn it over. So they're taking huge risks. I'd also love to hear from retailers. I think we get in the frame of mind that some of these retailers aren't revealing the print runs because there's something to hide. I would be very interested in hearing from retailers if there are other reasons why they aren't talking about the print runs. And I have some ideas, but I don't want to throw them out there. I'd rather hear those from the retailers themselves. And I think and the ideas I have are not nefarious. They are ideas that I know. I don't want to characterize them, but I think they're very genuine, actually. So would love to hear from retailers. If someone wanted to come on, we'd welcome that as well. So this is
maybe we should think about next month when we do another review. But I think that's a great suggestion, Steve.
Yeah.
A really great suggestion.
Oh no, I just wanted to say shout out to Hall of Comics because I made a shit ton of money off of the Hulk #1. This was back in the Google Plus days, like when I used to sell comics. I really don't sell anymore. I've had a couple smatterings in Facebook and whatnot.
You're just a hoarder.
Yeah, and also I just don't have time.
Right.
I work a full-time job, and then I do work for people on the side, and then I do this, and then I got 5 kids, and I really don't have a shit ton of time. But
Holy shit, yeah.
back then, they had a Hulk #1, and it was a 181 homage. They did a black and white. They did a Deadpool variant where he's kind of waving, but it was like it was X-23 and She-Hulk.
I have a set.
Yeah,
It's a great one. A great one.
I waited for that set to come out, and so I got it cheaper than like when it first came out. It was like shooting up like crazy. So like I waited like a year, and it dropped down, and it was like back to retail price.
I pre-ordered. Now this might sound terrible, but I pre-ordered a set of 9/8. So I got a pre-ordered set of CGC 9/8, and then I got like 3 more sets because I'm like, oh, dude, people are gonna love this. And then was able to sell my 9/8 for I think I could be misquoting, but I want to say $2,000 or $3,000. And the buy-in wasn't that much for like the pre-ordered CGC 9/8. I mean, I want to say I netted about like $2,500 off of that purchase, which was amazing. And I'm definitely telling you, do not ever do that.
Yeah, that's the wrong message. So that is not the message in this. But
I'm not saying do that. That was absolutely lightning in a bottle. But however, if I was stuck with them, I wasn't sad about it, but at all. But my intention was to flip them. And somebody on eBay, that I kept getting offers. Like I had it. Like I think I was the highest person price at that point in time, and this was easily 3 or 4 years ago when this came out, if I'm not mistaken. But he got me down a little bit, but I had it overpriced. So I was like, all right. As soon as I got to the price, I was like, cool, gone. Like you can make money on the flips on those, but it's like penny stocks. Like I would definitely shy away from.
Yeah, if you're not careful, you're gonna get stuck holding the bag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it's not it is a nail biter the entire way through.
All right, so G.I. Joe 280 here. This is an homage of an homage of an homage.
Damn it! I missed this one. How do I miss this?
This one moves quickly. I think Brian McClay had it on one of the shows. It went quickly. Something to be aware of, right? So this was so hot, the retailer immediately put it out a daylight version of this.
Yep.
That was effectively the exact same image, but
damn it, that's sick.
Not with the cool lighting, and that one's still available. This one went pretty quickly, but I think we all remember the original version of this. But anyways, on to the next one. All right, so this is Miles Morales 25 by Raza, the Comic Mint. This sold pretty quickly. This was the first homage to Ultimate Fallout 4 with Miles that I remember seeing. I know that they've homaged that cover. There was an Archie one over the holidays. There's been a few others. This is the first one with Miles that I recall seeing, so I thought it was noteworthy to throw up here and at least reference. It seemed like a pretty cool cover, and like I said, nothing I would necessarily chase, but a book that we might see again in the future at some point.
Yeah, I probably, before I met you guys, I probably had never bought a store variant, but this one was one I actually wanted to get, and I didn't, and for multiple reasons. I think the UF4, hadn't seen anyone homage that yet. The other thing too is Raza. I love this dude. I mean, every cover he does, he knocks it out of the park. I don't know a whole lot about him. I need to find out more. He is so talented. It's unbelievable. This is actually one that I'd shell out for.
Yeah, I agree. I love Raza. Superb.
Looks like a photograph.
Yeah.
Or at least Miles.
Yeah. The Raza covers that he did for those WWE books.
Yep.
Those were awesome. Those were amazing.
He's something special. All right, I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy in the room ever, but I saw this one come through, and I was like, wow, the colors on this are just amazing. So this is Mike Mayhew. I believe this was put up by KRS. And listen, I want to be clear that I know that some of these books are sold through multiple retailers, and that one of them is actually the one that sponsored it. I can't always connect those dots based on what I'm seeing. So any retailers out there that I didn't give the proper credit to, I apologize. I just put what I saw, who was selling it. So I know that some of these are sold through multiple stores. I can't connect the dots. So anybody that I miscredited, please don't come guns a-blazing. I did the best I can as I put this together. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but this cover to me was really quite stunning. Just thought it was worth talking about.
Mayhew's dope.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mayhew. He usually starts down pretty hard, like whenever he's drawing a cover. I do want to say, like, I think this also appreciates the artist. So, I think it supports them a lot and gets their name out there too, so other publishers can see them and other stores and all that.
So, Aaron, I mean, that's a great point. Something I wanted to touch on. Oftentimes I will actually, when there's a book I like, I will actually go buy it directly from the artist. And I'm not sure what their deal is with the store. It appears to me that the store gives them some issues to sell as part of whatever the deal was. So Ji-Hung Lee is an artist I really like, and I will always buy directly from him because he'll post whatever he's put out versus whatever store is selling it. So I'll go to the artist because I assume that revenue goes directly to the artist. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I do the same thing.
Good advice.
Next. Another Department of Truth. This was another Mighty Mel V suggestion. Ben Oliver. This covers super creepy, but he asked that we add it to the list. This Scott's Collectibles. I'm not familiar with who they are, but this is relatively low print run at 350 from a title that's pretty hot. I think as Steve identified, the Starface Man, the Woman in Red, we're kind of seeing the same themes over and over in these covers. But I know Ben Oliver has a following, and we just put it out there as an interesting book.
Yeah, he's talented.
Yeah, Scott's Collectibles. They're based out of the UK. So the Peach Momoko, Something That's Killing the Children original art I bought, they're the ones that put out that cover for issue 14.
Very cool.
Fun fact.
Cool.
Black Friday #1. I'm not reading this title, but the cover really caught my eye. Alan Quah cover. I remember that he did a cover for that I thought was really fantastic for crossover #1 with like a comic shop full of superheroes. This is sort of based on that same theme, same idea. It's from the guys at Hive Comics. They've been on the channel before. They're really good dudes. I really like the content and their vibe. But I saw this and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool looking. So just thought it was worth pointing out.
Is this a Scout book? Is that correct? Black Friday?
Black Friday is Scout, I believe, unless somebody wants to double check me on that one. Good question, Tony.
I feel like I should give props to the retailers who dare to do retailer variants on lesser known books, because like Steve was saying, it's a risk anyways, let alone on a book that people don't know anything about. So
yeah, it is Scout.
It just got, yeah. And then Alan Quah, he's been killing it on his covers.
All right, so this comic I didn't buy. I kind of want to buy it. This is Miguel Mercado, X-Men #19, White Queen, Emma Frost. It's just stunning. I mean, absolutely stunning. I'm not sure how she walked, to be honest with you, but it's just, this is a work of art. This is part of the reason why we're talking about store exclusives, because some of the covers are genuinely works of art. But this one I thought was beautiful and worthy of discussion.
Yeah, it's great use of white. I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, wow, that's impressive. And I think that's a great point too, is that with the store variants, most of the time you're buying for the cover, right? You don't even and I know this, it upsets some people that people aren't buying for the content, but I believe that comics can be collectibles and can be appreciated just based on the cover alone. And this one, yeah, I agree with you, Ben. But obviously, yeah, I think we've discussed a lot in our hangouts. A lot of this is, like a lot of art, it's in the eye of the beholder.
All right. I think we've got one or two more on here. So this is another Ji-Hung Lee Scarlet Witch cover. There's a lot of these out there, and I've got to be honest. What my biggest concern about this one, we touched on it before, is how many of them are being produced. They're charging a premium price for it. It's certainly a beautiful cover. But the fact that they're not willing to disclose how many are being made is a big ask for me, to have consumers to step up and put up their money, not having the full information. So while the cover is absolutely beautiful, to pay $50 for a virgin in a trade dress and not know what you're buying into is a difficult one. Is a difficult one for me. I like I said, I think best practice should be disclosing the print count on all of these, but I will echo Steve's point. maybe we need to bring on a retailer to decide why they don't want to do that. I assume that, when you see something like this, you're talking about 1,500 to 2,000. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I really think that they should be letting their customer know how many they are. But like I said, Ji Hun Lee, you got a soft spot. It is a beautiful cover. But something, if you're going to be buying these to go into with eyes wide open, because it's a lot of money to put up to not know exactly what you're buying. But if you love the artist, love the character, it may make sense to you, but otherwise, just be careful.
The way the hands are drawn on this is just amazing. It's awesome. You don't see them try to pull that off in the comic art. You see that on screen sometimes, but
yeah, he's quite a talent. I mean, I got a real soft spot for this guy. I mean, he's really something else, and I like to buy a lot of what he does. And yeah, this one was just, while it doesn't tick all the boxes of something I'd necessarily like to see, the cover itself was just beautiful. So thought we'd include it in the discussion.
Do y'all want to go over pickups?
Yeah, do you mind if I go first? Because I actually have to hop here. Do you mind? I got a couple. So is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
You're all queued up anyways, so.
All right, so I picked up a few things. So listen, I think Emily Van Camp, is that her name in Falcon Winter Soldier? Sharon Carter is awesome. She kicked some major ass in the most recent episode. So I grabbed. This is her first appearance. This is not in the main continuity, obviously, as Captain America. I don't think they go there. I think there's a small chance they might, but it's also a newsstand, so I figured why not grab it? So a book that I grabbed. This is A-Next number 4. This is quite genuinely a $1 book, but it's her only solo title that I've been able to find, and she shares it with Nick Fury. It was a 2-issue series, so all of 2 issues. But this is Agent 13's only solo series that I've ever been able to identify. I mean, these are $2 and $3 books. I mean, quite generally cover or less. So grab those. I found this Canto number 1 second print. This was pretty short printed. Nice. Don't know where this goes long term, but it seemed like a pretty smart play. And as I looked at the other covers, this one was one of the cooler ones. So I figured, let's grab it. So everybody knows I love Miles Morales. I bought another one of these.
All right.
Wildly underappreciated, I think, relative to what UF4 is doing right now. I don't know what it is about this book. It's a 1 in 15 on a higher print run, and never see them. They don't come up.
I had one in 9.8, and I sold it a while back. And I rarely regret selling books, but that one definitely. I know I sold it super cheap.
I don't know what it is, but this book is far rarer than its ratio suggests. But anyway, so grab that.
No regrets, Steve. No regrets.
All right.
Don't look back, right? Right. So I'm still grabbing these. People ask me what I think is the best spec right now. These second prints for Invincible Iron Man number 9 are probably one of the best ones I can possibly think of. Riri's going to have 2 shows next year, right? I mean, people are going to start scrambling for stuff, and these can still be had in the sort of the 60 to 75 range. I know that's not cheap, but I think it's the kind of stuff that
it'll seem cheap then.
Yeah, why wasn't I buying those 12 months ago? And then the last one, a book that I've chased for a long time, and I talked earlier on about my love for Scarlett Johansson, but this book is a right, and I know Jessup loves this one. And the cover is white on the back, but I may pay for an artist to draw what you suggested. This is a 1 in 15, another book that was far rarer than its ratio would suggest. You never see it, and I chased it for a long time. I finally tracked one down. So
that would be a $50,000 book. Actually, yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. Listen, guys,
Yeah,
I
full
got to
Xenos
bow out.
cover.
I got to bow out, but good stuff, and I'll check your pickups when this thing goes live.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Cool,
guys.
man.
See you
See ya.
next week.
All right, I guess I'm next, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to go next, or
Yeah, sure. No, I'm ready. I'll go through them. So we got Transformers the movie, Newsstands 1,
Newsstand.
2, and 3. Yeah,
nice.
those were nice. Let's see. Gonna skip that. Here's one I like. This is Champions 25. Viv Vision. The Battle Lines variants, I think we're gonna. That's what these were called, the Battle Lines. I think we're going to see a number of these heat up because you just don't see them that much. I can't forget if they were qualifiers or open order. If I had a hand free, I'd check on Diamond, but yeah, I'd say keep your eyes out.
Those are the Young Gun variants, right?
No, they're the Battle
Okay.
Lines. I forget what was that based on a video game or something.
Or I guess like maybe the app or whatever.
Is that what it's called? Battle Lines? Okay,
I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. Don't ask me.
I'm not sure either, but there's a ton of great ones. Like I think they did it for every title too. It was probably like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Marvel's been putting out these Marvel tales. They're reprints, but they've got some beautiful covers. And they're expensive. I think they retail for like $8.99 or $9.99, something like that. So I think there's some potential there. I mean, because they reprint some key stories and then they add on some really nice cover art. This is a Bartel cover. So they're easily damaged. Like I've ordered a few directly from Diamond, and I never get good luck with them. So because of their thickness, or maybe I'm not ordering a lot of copies, so they just get smushed. Let's see. Same thing with this one with Wolverine. This is in Hulk Lee. I know there's a Virgin 1 in 100. I think they did Virgin 1 in 100s for all of them. Yep. I think there's even ones coming out to this day. Let's see. I have to give a shout out. I know Topher wrote about these a long time ago in CBSI. So Omni-Man appears in Supreme 67. There he is on the cover from Invincible. And I believe he has like a cameo on he's on the cover too of 66, it looks like. So that's kind of cool. I think those are starting to heat up. Let's see. We've got a Dr. Voodoo miniseries. I thought this was only 3 issues, but then I went to look. This is like 5 issues. Very, very cool cover art. I'd be curious to read that. Another shout out to Topher. I think he had he's at Comic Book True First or Comic Barricade on IG. I believe he posted this one just in the past day or two. I believe, and I wish Ben were still on. I'd ask him if he knows about this, but I'm very anxious to read this as well. From what I understand, it's a Isaiah Bradley, but Isaiah Bradley in a different reality. So maybe next time I'll be able to talk more about the contents of the book, but I just picked it up. Speaking of Isaiah Bradley, picked up a Truth 2. When I got to the register, the fellow there, he was like, I thought I didn't know there were any of these left. And yeah, I don't know how I came, but hey, Truth 2, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
To be honest, I saw my Truth number 1 like way too early. I think it was maybe in January. Totally regret it. Picked up some cheap Spawns. There's a 218. There's a 266. This has not only Spawn, but also has Savage Dragon and Ant on it. Let's see. What else do we have?
And just barely a 270 black and white, like pre-270. Like,
Right.
people weren't buying them then.
Yeah. Man, I wish Carter were on here because I know he'd appreciate some of these. Here's a really cool one that I found, and it actually apparently sells for a lot of money. Scarface photo variant, or cover B, right? IDW, yeah, cover B. So
Look, you already found the buyer, man.
Yeah.
There's a guy in town who does celebrity signings. He did one this last year with Pacino, and I wanted to get that cover. Pacino, CGCSS, didn't happen.
Oh man. Well, maybe they'll get him again. I mean, there's got to be a role for Pacino in the MCU, right? I mean, everyone else is popping up in those roles. Scotty Young, Nova 1. Yeah, that's a nice book. Picked up 2 of those actually. Image United, a Spawn cover. I think this is commands a pretty nice price. And then I think this was also in tow for a CBSI article. Wouldn't have known about it otherwise. And this was a couple years ago he wrote about it. Dynamo 5. So you've got Invincible appearing in there. And then, whoops. See, I never can do that. Okay, there we go. And he's also on, there he is. I was covering him up with my finger. Another cover. So, I've watched two of the episodes so far. Loving it. I had already read this series probably a year or so ago. Thought it was really compelling. I think there's a lot of potential there, and especially for some of these offbeat type books where Omni-Man or Invincible or one of the Invincible universe characters makes an appearance. So that's all I'm going to cover tonight.
All right. Who's up next?
I'll go quick. That's all right. All right. So most of what I buy to sell. I do have my own personal collection, but my focus lately has been selling. There are 2.
You're smart. That's why.
Actually, right now it seems like you should be holding on to everything and let it just raise in price. You know what I mean? But Image doesn't do a lot of late printings for a lot of their books. There are a couple series where I try to chase some late printings. Middle West is one, and lately Excellence. There are some rumors about whether or not there's an unannounced option for Excellence. This is just their A cover number 1. A lot of these, I think this is the 3rd print. Pretty low print count on a lot of these. This is the 2nd print of number 2. I kind of cleaned out Gmart. Like 5 copies of that one.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then the 2nd printing of number 3. These are not original art for the 2nd prints. They just modified the colors. But I really like the design. I know Kerry Randolph is involved in that and getting it made into a screen version. So I'm happy to have those. Speaking of retailer variants that I just grabbed because the art is amazing. I think we were talking about this one on. Was this from? It's sad when I didn't even know where I bought the stupid thing. I want to say this is from the artists, like an artist-owned retailer variant for Kale New.
Oh, Kale New. Okay.
NGU, yeah.
Wasn't that for WonderCon?
It may be. Yeah. I just loved it, and the color Carnage always sells no matter what. Was digging at the LCS and this hit 3 boxes. It hit the Captain America Sam Wilson. Tula Lotay did the art. She's one of the artists that I kind of chase anything she does. And then we got a cover featuring Shuri, which is another one. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Sam Wilson, Captain America number 12 variant. Scout has been putting out these VHS variants for a lot of their books. This is one that's kind of intrigued me recently. I've started picking up, maybe for no good reason necessarily, but just for the hell of it. So when I started selling stuff, I was doing a lot of mystery boxes, believe it or not. I still have a whole bunch downstairs. I sell stuff on eBay, sell stuff on Amazon. That stuff sells great on Amazon. But one of the mystery boxes that I subscribed to was the Stan Lee box. It went under about 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, maybe. And he supposedly you could get Stan Lee signed stuff, which I never found any of. But every month they had a variant of a Marvel comic that was a Stan Lee variant. So it's officially a retailer variant for that program, that Stan Lee program. But they all had a cameo from Stan himself. One that I sold way back for $40 that I kind of regretted selling. I found slabbed in a 9.8 this last month, but 151. And I'm not going to be selling this one. I'm going to hold on to this one just for the hell of it. It's not signed or anything, but
still cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I
love the custom labels.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Especially the Deadpool one. It's my favorite.
Right? Every book's a 9.9 with a Deadpool.
Yeah.
Thing, right?
Please.
Right. And then one of the other kicks I've been on recently is trying to figure out what other Avengers we're going to see. I do think obviously we're getting young Avengers, the original Avengers, a lot of the contracts have come up, a lot more will be coming up. I think we're bound to see some kind of, not necessarily West Coast Avengers, but an Avengers 2.0. We're going to see some other characters come in to that senior team role. So yeah. I've been looking the Avengers roster in the history of Marvel Comics is huge. You could go way, way back. But this is one I picked up for really cheap. This is Incredible Hulk 265. This is the first appearance of Firebird up here, who was on the Avengers roster, a Native American character for many years. Also the first appearance of this Shooting Star. There's other... not the first appearance of all of these characters necessarily, but
yeah, I think that's a great idea. I actually this week, due to some books in a collection that I got me thinking about. There's no doubt they're going to introduce a Native American character. Well, actually, is Echo Native American?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
see,
I
I'm
think there's
showing my
DC
side, yeah. But I don't think she's the last. I think that's a great pick, Tony.
Well, there are 9.8s of Copper Age books for less than $100.
Yeah,
nowadays that's a very low buy-in.
Yeah.
Why not? And then I guess the last one, another character that we've kind of haven't heard much from is Mosaic. About 5 years ago, but this is the 1 in 25 of his first appearance. Just doesn't hurt to have it, I guess. At some point, they will berebooting the Inhumans. Who knows?
No, we've got a fan up there with Aaron. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was my nomination. Last week? And then,
yeah.
I think Bella's a pretty big fan of that pick too. So also like with Miss Marvel too. So I think it's a good play.
Yeah, I'll give you some props because I think I found some second prints of that first appearance as well.
Nice. Yeah.
on online retailers, but
Cool.
I think
All right,
I
so-
think Aaron's got us all on that train.
Oh man, I got you all on the
Yeah.
second print. Yeah, I think I have one somewhere too. Let's see if I
Yeah,
can
this
find
is a second. Yeah.
it. Oh, I put it up already.
All right, I'll start with those. Then.
We're all on the second print train. Nice.
Well, I got a first and a second.
Okay.
So I went digging in Dayton, Ohio. I got a pass to have a day to myself, and I got to go out and dig, and it was awesome. Thank you, Nicole. So I started off at this place in Dayton called Second and Charles, which it was the first Second and Charles I've ever been to. I see people post the same kind of finds they find there that I find at half price books. So I'm like super stoked to go. And I didn't really find that much. I did find like some 24 and issue 24 and 25 of Gwenpool, which Ben's already dipped out, but I'll show those off in a minute. But they had fried pie variants there, which is cool because in Columbus, Ohio, you don't get fried pie variants. They don't show up. Like there's nowhere. They just don't make it here for whatever. But in Dayton, Cincinnati, I guess they do. So,
Well, I think they discontinued them, but they only carry them
even
in
the
bigger books, Million and the Second and Charles. So, what you're saying is you're not going to change your name to Second and Charles Crook?
Absolutely not.
doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
Nah. So all right, I'll show these next as I showed you guys earlier. I had never seen these before.
Nice.
And I thought they were pretty cool. I was like, all right. So I go to another shop in Dayton. After that, not a Second Charles, like an actual comic shop. And I'd never been there. So like I start in the back because I'm looking for SpongeBob comic books. And also Fat Albert comic books for my buddy James. And so I'll go back where the Archies and the Dells and any of the Disney books, 4-color stuff. Like, so I start going through there, and I did find a ton of SpongeBob comic books. And this is the only place I've ever found a SpongeBob comic book in a comic book shop. Like I buy the rest off eBay, but dude, they had 3, 4, 5, 2 6s. With the earlier ones are really tough to find, and they're like $3-4 a piece.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I bought the whole stack.
Nice.
So everyone they had, I'm trying to put it together just because I love SpongeBob. I think he's awesome. A little comic relief when you have young ones and they want to watch TV and it's like, all right, I can totally dig on this. They also it sucked, man. I was at this store a long time. Like I went out and took smoke breaks and like I would just take my stack to the table and set it down. The guy's like, "Oh, are you all set to go?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna go out and have a cigarette real quick because I'm gonna go through every book you have in this place. I'd never been there. It was awesome." So, and I do just that. Like I keep going up there with stacks, and because it was like almost like nobody had gone through their back issues in a while. And wait till I'll save the best for last. But all of these hip hop variants were still in there, still in their long boxes, and I'm like, and fairly decent shape. Like, it's hard to pull a hip hop 9.8, and some of their stuff wasn't bagged and boarded, just bagged. There wasn't any loose stuff, but they had a couple of the highlights. Like we had a spider, and like they had a big sticker across the top said variant, but they were like $6.99, which is what my LCS priced their hip hop variants at when they came out on release. Like you never got one for $3.99.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have some qualifiers in there too. Then probably if no one's dug through there.
Oh, dude. I mean, it was like nobody went through their stuff in a while. So anyways, I talked to Dennis, like I wanted to have a cigarette, and I called Dennis. I was like, hey, have you ever been to this place? He's like, yeah, I know that guy. He's like, man, it's like no one's been through here at all. And he's like, well, if you see, especially the hip hop covers, like, grab me one, and yeah, sure, no problem. So I started throwing doubles, and then finally like runs the second prints, like doubles and triples and quadruples. So like I'm throwing all this stuff up on this table because I'm like, I'll take it all. I missed the little cue card that they had by the register that said we limit one copy per person, because I haven't checked out yet. Like I was, and also wasn't paying attention to the sign, but there was, and which I'm fine with. It's cool. Like, I mean, at least I get one copy. Like they honor the price that you buy it at, but if you get another one, they're going to go look it up. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I made the comments like, yeah, you're right, dude. Because I was about to clean you out. Everything. I probably had a short box stacked of books, and I haven't even gone through their case yet or their wall books. It's like, I'll save that for last. I'll go see what you got in the bins. And I was bummed. They had 2 long boxes of Spawn books. And I was like, oh. Yeah, but it was all like pre-100. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, aren't you trying to complete a run? Like, you're pretty close, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Ben Stein, dude. He was at he found a 183 recently. And I was like, dude, if you want to sell that, let me know. Like I don't want a deal. Just, I'll buy it at market value. Like, I'd rather buy it from him than someone on eBay. I'll go through a friend before I would, just jump on eBay.
Right.
So he's like, no, I'm going to keep this one because, dude, that book is so hard. It's a black front cover and it's a black back cover. And the backs are usually beat. Everyone on eBay, most people just don't even show the back cover. Like, they just give you a front cover pick and no back cover. It's tough. But he's like, no. He's like, but I did pass one up at another shop. He's like, it was $50. I'm like, dude, I'll take it. Like, if you, don't go out of your way or whatever, but if you're heading back and it's still there, pick it up for me. I appreciate it. So thank you, Ben. Love you, Ben. It was awesome.
Cool.
So now I'm down to 11 more books. And
all right. I have some books real quick.
All right.
So I got some store variants, actually, since we were talking about the subject. This is from the J. Scott Campbell Joker. And then, I had to get the controversial, like, quote unquote, like what social justice warriors are like arguing about, saying that this is like racist. Like, I didn't find it racist. So I was like, I actually thought it was kind of talented. So
the kabuki makeup?
Yeah, with the kabuki makeup or whatever. Like, I think the person that was complaining wasn't even Asian. So I don't know why they get to to complain about it. Right. I mean, that's just my opinion, but how we all love Bartel here, so I found the Nebula one. Second print, Extermination. I believe this is on the previous list. So
how's the condition? Everyone I've found of those has like major like print problems.
I don't see any too big of major problems. I'll have to check the back cover.
That's good.
Yeah. So I thought I scored gold and got the Return of Wolverine second print, and then I didn't open it, so I asked them to open it at the counter, and it's not the error version, so it's a corrected version. So are you familiar with the error?
No, I don't know that.
Okay, so in the Return of Wolverine second printing, there's Dr. Aphra pages on the first and last page, so that wraparound is the wrong wraparound. I have an error version, but I don't have a corrected one, so I was like, I'll take it anyways.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer and closer to finishing my second print run of the Legacy. So this is the Old Man Logan. This is the Venom one. So
cool. That's a really hard one to find.
I just bit the bullet and bought it on eBay. So, but it was still less than $15, I want to say. So I was like, kind of all right. Yeah,
they're all hard to find.
Yeah, I found this Captain America Deadpool variant. I couldn't remember if I had this. Just like a giant completionist for Deadpool.
So is that like an Alex Ross Deadpool variant?
I think so. It looks like it, doesn't it? I don't know. I can't tell who that signature is at the
Huh. Interesting. No, I don't think it is, but
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
I just kind of
interesting.
saw it. Yeah, for $5,
Okay.
I was like, kind of like, oh, this is cool.
yeah.
Nail Biter #1. I found
Oh,
one for $10.
I used to
had
love
marker.
that series.
Yeah, I think it got options for something or is in
Yeah,
production.
it did, but haven't heard anything about it lately.
Yeah. I'm a big Simpsons fan, so I found the McBain #1.
All right, McBain.
Yep. So I'm pretty sure I still have one when I bought it when it first came out, but I was like, might as well pick up an extra. I found this Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Love this homage.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Longshort. I believe he talked about this on something, like either on Instagram or something like that. This is a Captain America 25 second print. So
Yes.
I think I'm pretty sure I saw it on his Instagram.
Yeah, and I think he had nominated it for the top 10.
Oh, okay. And then I found a Star Wars Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir #1. My first purchase on Macari. So
That's the Darksaber book, right?
Yep. So the first appearance of that. I had 2, 3, and 4 found from my. Oh wait, I bought 2 from a friend. 3 and 4 I found at a shop in my area.
I've had pretty decent luck with Mercari. Not 100, not batting 100, but
yeah, the book needs a press if I'm going to grade it. I'm not sure if I would still take that risk or not because of the black cover.
Yeah.
I want to give a big shout out to Hive Comics. I won this from its drunken chat. I wasn't on the show, and I was just participating in chat, and then I happened to win this book, and I was just kind of like, I won a book after I just interviewed them. I don't know if I feel right about this,
Right.
but yeah. So I might give it away on here one day or next week. We'll just figure out the parameters for that, or maybe on Comic Book Food Chain. I haven't decided yet. Either or. And then this is what I actually bought from Hive. They still had Peach Momoko's 9/8 for like half the cost of eBay, and I was like, kind of like, okay, well, guaranteed 9/8, like it's not bad. I love the series too. And then one last slab. So I bought the America #2 second print.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you, Nico, for helping me spend money. So
I was gonna say about winning the Hive book. Don't feel bad. The last time I gave a book away on Drunken Chat, the winner was Dennis Barger from Wonder World Comics.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a small world. It's like everyone knows everyone, right?
That's true. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Make sure to catch Steve tonight on Tales from the Dark Side. You almost had me convinced to change my name to, what was it?
CB23.
Yeah. Like that argument. Like I was just like, man, I might change my name now.
Yeah, everyone's doing it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and see y'all next week.
Good night.